Okay, we're live.
Okay, excellent. So we are here discussing chapter 44 of the trilogy in My Big Toe, or if you're reading the three separate books, it's chapter 10, book 2 of Discovery. So let's set the intention just to come together and hold compassionate, loving space for one another to really get a thorough understanding of the material in this book, to really seek to understand each other's perspectives and points of view, to really see where one another is coming from and put ourselves in each other's shoes so we can get a big picture perspective of this reality rather than a narrow, limited perspective. So yeah, let's just continue to hold space for each other and bring out the best of one another. What were your thoughts? What was the gist of it? Daniel, what did you think about the overall chapter?
Switch devices, okay?
Okay.
I love the chapter. We're all one basically, and how just a piece of us is connected to everyone, and the Aum is learning and growing as we are learning and growing.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Exactly. I love that too. It's a great concept. Here comes Nadine or Teo.
Oh, Teo.
Teo, camera 2. Camera hog. That's good. Maureen, what did you think of the chapter?
I also love the chapter. I also, we are all one, and yet each part is not diminished, is not, we are an integral part of the one, of the all. I really enjoyed it. It flowed really well for me, even though I was tired.
Sorry, that's me.
Teo.
Feedback. You got two machines close by.
Now I need to close it. How to close it?
Close your eyes.
Done.
Okay, you're set up, kind of, sort of. Your camera's not working on the other device. But while she's setting that up, Maureen, so that was basically just tuning into that idea, resonating with the fact that we are all one and work together and can't have one without the other. We all need to contribute and be a part of this whole.
Yeah, I relate to the tag of my email is one heals, all heal.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. And one heals, all heal. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I read it on the airplane coming here, so that was almost 2 weeks ago. So I kind of forgot it, but I just went for a short walk and I listened to it on the audiobook to kind of get up to speed. And you're right, Maureen, like we were talking about earlier, is that you can read it one time and then you read it again, you get a whole new insight on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really fascinating because as I was listening to it, I'm thinking, okay, Tom, like I know this already. I've heard this a million times.
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of dawned on me because he's talking about and how we're all pieces of but then I saw it kind of brought it to this physical matter reality and saw how we're all pieces of this social system coming together to support and help each other and cooperate here in this physical reality. But it doesn't seem so big and elusive and out of reach when I look at it in kind of terms. It's really big. But if I look at it in this reality frame, it's a lot more tangible and there's something I can actually do here. So yeah, I like that. How was it fresh in your mind? You just read it, eh? How was the chapter for you? Theo?
What?
How was the chapter for you? What was your overall insight or thoughts around the chapter?
For me, I didn't take notes, but I think it left me thinking a lot because that feeling of being important or significant or special, it's like everywhere. I think that's the origin of the ego, actually. I see my daughter and she's like, who is the prettiest, who is the smartest, how much do you love me? Do you love me more than, and she's always that comparing, and I feel like she really needs to feel so important, and that's how we create this God that is protecting us and loving us and dying for us. It's, it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I haven't concluded anything, but I need to. I need to sit down and and think about this more. Because yeah, I think that the origin of all my problems is from that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because if you grew up in a family where, oh, you are the number one, you are the most, and you're so special, and filling up that feeling of self importance and be special, that's recipe for become a very egocentric person when you are a grown up. But if you grow up in a family where that's not the case, where you are just one of 7 kids or something like that, and there is no that nobody's feeling feeling that sense of self importance, then you grow up with all the traumas in the world, and no, nobody loves me, nobody. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
It is, yeah. See it that way, for sure. Because we always think that, if you grow up and you're not loved and you're not told how special you are, that it's going to be tough. But I see what you're saying is that if you're growing up in a family where you're constantly told how special you are, then you're going to build this ego and walk around like you are, arrogant. That's what arrogance is.
So in any case, you are egocentric.
It can go either way, sure. Of course.
There is no escape. I think.
Okay, well, why don't we jump in and there's an echo on mine. Is there an echo?
Yeah, there's echo from.
I think that was me. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh,
I'm going to turn my phone down.
yeah, I can hear very well.
I'm going to plug you.
Oh, let me see.
You have your iPad on?
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't.
No?
An echo is
I
something.
don't. I don't have the iPad on.
Where's the echo coming from? Maybe if you plug that in. Okay, how's that? Oh, yeah.
That's better.
Yeah.
Now that your iPad's not picking up class. Okay.
No, my iPad is off. My iPad alone.
Okay, so let's go to the first page. What is the point? Chapter 10 or 44 for you guys. Did you guys have anything from that first page that stood out?
Yeah, I did. And as usual, it's sometimes the simplest sentences that speak to me the most and sort of jump off the page for me and make me rethink how that relates for me. But when he says we are given free will so that evolution, growth, is possible, the evolution of our personal fragment of consciousness is directly and exclusively based on the individual choices we make. And then the second page, where is it? Where it says you're either part of the solution and part of the problem. Mm-hmm. So every choice you make, you're either part of the solution or part of the problem. Was really, I loved that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're either,
to think that it makes you stay conscious, to stay present, what choice am I making here? And is it part of the solution or part of the problem? Not just for me, but for all. Mm-hmm. So that spoke to me deeply.
Do you think that it's our own perspective that determines whether we think if we're the problem or not, right? But other people may look at you as a problem versus other people are looking at the solution, right?
Say that again.
No, I'm saying that if how you're looking at yourself, how you perceive yourself, determines whether or not you're looking at yourself as a problem or the solution, whereas other people who look at you, it might be reversed.
Yeah, interesting. So do you think that we know inside whether the choices that we're making are part of, if it's part of the problem, and we have a I don't know what words to use here. We have not a moral code, but a guidepost for ourselves, and if we go against that, there's a bit of dissonance inside.
Yeah, I think that's our intuition. I think we can feel what the right thing to do is.
Yeah, but I love what you just said, Daniel. I love that. Yeah.
I'm looking at, say, how the what is that group called? The ones that's going beating up everyone the way we see it. ISIS, right? They're going around and killing everyone. What's making them do that? Do they think they're right? Do you think they're creating a solution? Whereas everyone else is looking at them and they're a problem. Right?
Yeah.
That's a good question. What's the answer as you see it? Good
question. That's right. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know who set the right. Is it us think it's right, or do they think it's right?
Yeah. I mean, you chose a very extreme example, but there's every level of that. So excellent.
Yeah. Excellent. And I think that you can't really know, being on the outside looking in. It comes down to the intent, right? It's never about the action, what they're doing, the intention of why they're choosing to do that. It could look like they're doing something that's really wrong and evil, but if we feel that they're doing that because they're protecting and they're saving, their family, their loved one, and their intention is coming from a place of low entropy, then that is the right thing to do. But we can never really know unless we're in their position. Right?
Boy, this is a question for an ethics class.
Yeah.
Cool.
It always comes back to that intention. That's why we can't have a prescription, right? So if you do this, this, and this, then you'll lower your entropy. That's just acting, that's just doing. It comes down to you. We each have to make those choices ourselves. It's our own experiences, where they guide us, where they lead us to, and then trusting our intuition, and making it about others, not coming from pure ego.
And so if you achieve the low entropy, regardless of what the dynamics are of whatever you chose, you are reducing it for the whole energetically.
Right. Yeah, I was going to mention that too. Who's right and who's wrong? Maybe the way to ask is what we're doing creating a lower entropy?
Right.
If that is, then that's the right thing to do.
But then it might create low entropy for you, but when I watch you behead somebody, that doesn't create low entropy for me. So there's so many sides of this.
Yeah, exactly. So then what is the right answer then? How do we know?
Oh.
This might be a question for Tom.
Yeah. I don't know. So many layers. Anybody else for those pages?
Yeah, I think too, if your intention is just to help, and your intention is about others, and then the actions as they turn out, they don't help, I still think you're lowering the entropy, because it comes down to intent is the driving force of consciousness, right? So if my intention is to help, but what it looks like on the surface is disorder, that's okay, that's just the surface. But beyond that, below that is the consciousness, the energetic field of it all. And that is lower than.
But sometimes that's no, not clear or not enough. For example, I was in my country. My country it was for a long time in war because of the drugs and everything, and many people died. And then came up a government right now who is trying to sign an agreement of peace with those people that were very violent and killed so many people and destroyed almost the country. And half of the country thinks that peace is not an option. That the low entropy solution is to put all those people who were involved in the conflict in jail. But the government said no. We need to really sign and forget about that and sign a agreement of peace. So in that situation, both groups are thinking that that's the lower entropy solution, but I don't know. In the surface, is either anything is like creating more conflict actually between them. So I don't know. I don't know in that case, for example, what the intent is. Two good intents are against each other. And the result is no more chaos. So what's the good solution, or what's the how is the intent play there? So that's a lower entropy because the both intents are positive and coming from good to place.
Exactly. You've given a really good example of what we just said. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not that easy. What I see in general is everybody acts from a place of thinking that is the best thing that they can do at that moment. Even people who we see that are doing very wrong, but for them they think that that's the right thing to do at that moment, and right thing means they are coming from a place of a good intent.
It depends on where they come up with that idea that it's the right thing, that their way is the right way. If they're really stern on that and stuck on that idea that it has to be this way, that kind of sounds like a belief, right? It's not very fluid. Beliefs.
So, for example, another example is, for example, my mom. She used to beat me a lot when I was growing up. And for her, and right now we are friends, and I talked to her, and she said, no, I don't regret anything. All what I did was the right thing to do, and I just wanted you to grow like strong, so her intent was good, but the result was not good. I was traumatized all my life. So I don't see how that good intent of my mom it lowered any entropy. I think it created a lot of entropy actually, and actually it was wrong. It's totally wrong that someone beats a kid when he's 5, 6 years old. But I don't find any place where she feels that where the intent was not right. So right now I'm in peace with that because I think she thought she was doing the best that she could do for me. So
yeah.
And your work to get beyond that trauma lowered your entropy. It had to. For you to get beyond it.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah. And so as a result of high entropy, her actions created high entropy for you, but for you to get beyond it, it lowered your entropy. So there's always just seemingly both sides to this. I'd love to hear Tom wax on this one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily hear what I think I hear you say is that what your mom did was a low entropy move because she felt she was right. So your mom thought that was low entropy? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Her intent came from a place of protecting, and she thought that I would end up in a jail or in big trouble or with big issues if she let me to do whatever I wanted, for example. So for her,
low entropy though, because
what's that?
It sounds like to me that doesn't sound like your mother's intent was low entropy, because it sounds to me like your mom was coming from a place of fear, from a place of very high entropy, and formed a belief in her mind that I need to discipline her in order for her to be a certain way. But then trying to control and manipulate, that's a very high entropy intent. That's not loving or compassionate. The low entropy comes from love and understanding and connection and compassion.
But could that not have been her mother's way? Her way of showing love is by disciplining her.
Yes, exactly. And you said at the beginning that everyone has the intuition to do the right thing. So that was her intuition. That's contradicting everything.
And I think it was through her experiences that she has had through her upbringing, where she thought that to raise you as a child, she had to discipline you. Yeah. And from that, she thought that would create low entropy. But for you, it was a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
So could it be true that we think one way to lower our entropy, whereas the other person, when they look at it, we think it's high entropy, but for them it's low entropy?
Yeah.
Because so it's just stealing, let's say, energy from one consciousness and applying it to yours. So your energy level is still the same. It's just how we look at things.
Yeah.
Wait, say that last.
Well, I said it's us stealing energy from one consciousness, pulling it down to help us create that lower energy, or to create that lower entropy. Right? When we view them, it's we're taking that energy level. They're raising their entropy, whereas we take that energy and pull our entropy level lower. So it's a zero sum, right?
Mm. Yeah, if her mom was coming from fear and needed to do due diligence to reduce her chaos within her, she's in chaos if she's thinking, I've got to discipline, and I've got to keep her on the straight and narrow, and I've got to, right? When she's done that, she can walk away saying, okay, I've done due diligence, I've done my job, I've done the best I can. So that for her lowers her entropy. This is a really interesting discussion.
That increases her entropy, because that's all ego. That's all ego talking to her, justifying her actions. She's not in touch with her being self at all. She's not in touch with her intuition. None of that's intuition. That's all fear. Sometimes it's really difficult to distinguish between what is my fear talking, what is my intuition saying, right? And then we think it's our intuition, but it's just our fear. We're so used to acting out of fear. So she's raising her entropy. She raised her entropy.
And so do the ISIS members, because they're coming from a place of fear too. Their belief system is not a low entropy belief system. I don't know, but this is,
I don't know. I've never met anyone in ISIS.
Well, I think with ISIS is that
right.
I think with ISIS it's how they interpret the Quran, right, which is their Bible.
Yeah.
Right. So they've created their own belief system based on the Quran, and they're taking actions based on that. So is it based on warfare, right?
But the actions they're taking are not from a very centered, calm, loving place. It's you need to pay.
Right.
I'm gonna punish.
So it's payback. So for some odd reason, for whatever it is.
Yeah.
And any time it comes from a belief, it's high entropy, because beliefs come out of fear, right?
Yeah.
So if you didn't have the fear there, you wouldn't have to come from a belief.
True.
You wouldn't need to come from a belief to
True.
feel safe. So if there's a belief, if there's ego, if any of that's involved, then it's high entropy.
Yeah. Okay, but in the example of the government and the guerrillas in my country, so once they want to defend people and do justice for all the people that has died and all the suffering that has been caused to all the people, which is not a place of fear. It's a place of justice. So, which is, I don't think it's fear-based to look for justice in this world. And the other one is want to make peace, which is also no, it doesn't come from fear. It comes from love. But they together they can make very bad situation for everyone, which is chaos and is high entropy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because then if you start putting justice in place and making laws, what you're doing is you're trying to control again. You're trying to control people rather than relating to them. And I'm trying to understand where they're coming from and connect with them. We're just trying to control them by placing these laws and making up these rules. Because if we were all coming from a place of love and compassion and working together, cooperation, we wouldn't need laws. We wouldn't need justice, because it would just flow. It would just work, right? If we were all cared about each other, we all worked together, we wouldn't need any of these laws in place.
But it's not like that. And John Campbell has said himself that sometimes you need to stand up, and the art of love is standing up and stopping someone from doing wrong, right? And that's what the guerrillas are doing. They are stopping the government from abusing the rest of people and all the crimes that go just keep going and going. And on the other hand, they just want to stop. They just want to begin from zero and forget everything. So I don't know. That's kind of in that situation. I don't see the low entropy or the logic in that situation.
So at the very bottom of, for me, page 400, he seems to address that a little bit. The very last couple of sentences there, each individual contribution, however small, is vital to the health, welfare, and continuance of the whole, and you are the contributor and the beneficiary of your contributions in both the little picture and in the big picture. So we're talking about little picture and big picture, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Go hand in hand.
Yeah. So we have to both be conscious of the little picture and the big picture when we make a choice with our free will.
Yeah, and I feel like when he talks about the big picture, he's talking about right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've heard him say before too, you have to grow up in this little picture so that you can actively participate in the big picture. Make a difference, right? This is, again, training ground here. Just on the first page too, going back to the first, I just really like the one sentence in the second to last paragraph. It's like the third to last sentence where he says, fundamentally, we are consciousness. The evolution, the evolution of our individuated unit of consciousness is the point of our existence. I like that because it really just sums it up, because a lot of people, they're like, so what is the big picture? Or what is our purpose? Well, that's it. Like, in essence, we're consciousness. We're here to grow and evolve.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think that's his theme throughout the whole book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, that's his model. That's we're consciousness and we're here to learn and grow. Because we have that free will. We have free will. We have choices to grow or not grow.
Or not grow.
If you don't grow, you became stagnant and you die. Exactly.
Yeah, either growing or dying.
I think somewhere in here he talks about a woman where if you're not profitable, I'm starting to like that word now. If you're not profitable, you die. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think because so many of us are missing that piece, that one little sentence, fundamentally we're consciousness and we're here to grow and evolve. But that one sentence, most people aren't aware of it. And so what they do is they just walk around aimlessly, fumbling their way through life because they don't know that there is a reason for our existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been butchered with religion and all these dogmas and saying we're here to do this, we're here to do that, and you have to believe all these certain things in order to get to heaven or whatever. I think people steer clear of wanting to find out what's my purpose because they kind of just balk at it now. They're like, it's been perverted, What's the solution? I guess the solution is, I feel like the solution is just having an open mind to think for ourselves and to find truth our own way, whatever path, wherever our guidance takes us, wherever our intuition leads us, and then having an open mind, having curiosity to dig and to ask for those answers and come up with our own answers, right? I think that's the solution.
But when do we actually have that freedom to go do whatever we want nowadays? Like, if you think about it, you grow up and you're told that you have to go to school, get good grades, get a good job. We're already brainwashed when we're young.
Yeah.
When do we have a choice to actually do what we love?
Well, I mean, isn't that what we're doing?
That's what we're doing. Well, we're doing that, but we're only a few. But how do we get society, corporations, governments to start telling you?
By growing, starting learning centers and spreading, creating a lot of other safe places for people to come and show up and do that inner work themselves, where they can explore their own consciousness, right? And making that okay, making that the norm, making that common. Because right now it's kind of uncommon, but I think that's what we're bringing, is we're making that more and more common.
Right.
And okay to do and explore. So I think, that's the solution. It's just encouraging people to start thinking for themselves and exploring their own ideas and encouraging them, believing in them, supporting them that their ideas are good. Mm-hmm. They should take it further.
I think that's there must be something wrong in the design of our reality, because in all the history of humankind, never we have experienced any episode of being kind or searching for love. And that seems to be not the norm, and that seems, like you said, everybody's wondering what is our purpose. So I think must be something wrong in the design, because really nobody has clue what's the purpose of being here, what's the
they didn't, especially 100, 200, 300, 400 years ago, they didn't. But if you look at where we are now and how much we've progressed, people are asking, people are curious now, right?
Yeah, but this space has been in Earth more than 10,000 more than 10,000 years, and look, there are like 1,000 people right now wondering about consciousness, or I don't know, but what happened with the 10,000 years that we've been here? Nobody has found any connection with consciousness. No, there has been no any progress. The progress is, as you said, just starting here. So it's practically 10,000 years wasted.
Or more. I don't think it's wasted. I think it's just part of evolution. Learning.
Yeah, we've come a long way from the last 10,000 years. Think about how people treated each other back then, and Think about how we treat each other today. We're very civilized today. And we look at the technology, look at everything that we've created.
But technology, yes, but technology-wise, yes. Technology of destruction, technology of bombs, technology of invading the space,
Well, I think
technology
how
of
you use
many
that
things.
technology, you can use technology for good or bad, right?
Yeah, but that's what does know what has happened in this earth in any time of our history, and the evolution for, of our consciousness has been close to zero, because you said that right now we are very civilized. We are right now in the worst possible state. The states goes to bombard the people. We have the most horrible food. We don't care about the children. We don't care about the elders. Where is the civilization here? We attack the weakest countries. We abuse everyone that we could. So I don't see what is the civilization, the growth of our consciousness. Our consciousness is close to zero, I guess, in a growing level.
I think it's just a different way of looking at it. I guess, you know, a few hundred years ago, you would look at kingdoms, right? Kingdoms would attack kingdoms. But as we evolve, you know, our area, region becomes larger.
Our consciousness is much better.
Countries are
Our consciousness. Yeah, exactly the same history. Kingdoms versus kingdoms, then countries versus countries. So.
All right. So nothing's really.
What is
nothing's changed. It's just
the evolution of our consciousness? What is it?
I think it's just a bigger scale of how we're doing things. But in order to get to a bigger scale, you have to get to you have to grow your consciousness and evolve to get to this larger scale, right?
Yeah.
But I think as human natures, we have that ego, we have that greed, and it continues, right?
Yeah, yeah. So evolution.
I'm going to bring it back to the glass is either half full or half empty. How do you choose to see it? What are you looking at? What are you focusing on, right?
I think all you can do is focus on yourself. Are you growing? Are you learning yourself? Because you can only help yourself to grow your consciousness, and hopefully that will help the larger consciousness system grow. Right, and hopefully you can inspire other people to lower their entropy.
Otherwise, it's overwhelming.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you choose to direct your awareness to whatever you want to place it upon, right? So if I choose to see, you know, a lot of anger and hatred and people fighting one another, and that's going to create a lot of negativity in my life, and I'll attract more of that as well. If I choose to see people just doing their best, some people might be stumbling and falling, but hey, I'm here. I'm going to help you get back up, you know. Mm-hmm. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attract more helpful people into my life. I'll attract more positivity. So it really does depend on what you choose to focus on.
Right.
It absolutely does. It's the ripple effect, right? It's part of the rule set. You know, your intent modifies future probability. So what's your intent doing? Are you modifying your probability for your reality to be dark and negative, or are you modifying it so that it's happy and enlightening and alive? We each have that choice, right? That's the free will. That's where it comes in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that phrase. What you focus on expands.
Yeah, and like attracts like. I know they're all cliche, but it's true. There's truth to it.
Exactly.
Science.
It is true. It is true. The only thing that, and I'm normally in the positive side, always looking at the things from the positive side. But just reading this chapter, it's like it really made me question why this purpose of our life. So he's talking about our purpose as a human. Why this purpose has been so invisible for all our species for 10,000 years, or I don't know, 100 years, 100,000 years. why never any civilization were able to see that purpose? Why it's like, I think it's a very important and obvious question. If it's our purpose, why everybody cannot see it? Why only there are here 5 people? 5? No, 4. 4 people thinking about our purpose of life. And if that's our purpose, that's very important shit. We should know this, right?
Yeah.
So this is why I see that 10,000 years or 100 years, I don't know for how long we have been here. Oh, every single person that was before us has missed the purpose. So it's either the design is wrong, or maybe the purpose is not so important either. I don't know.
I think you can look at it this way as well. Like, say you go back 200 years ago, and at that time, people would be asking, "Oh, this life is so much greater than 200 years ago," right? So, we are evolving. Like, if you look at us now, we can say that life is so much better because, like, we got technology that could help us, right? We can do things faster and better and all that kind of stuff. So we have evolved, right?
No, I'm not saying that. I say the purpose. The purpose. No, has been missed for all the population that was before us and all the population that is right now in this planet. It's a miss. No one sees it. So only for people here.
Well, I've heard Tom speak on this, Theo, if you're interested. And this is something that crossed my mind before too, is that, why did I have to stumble my way through the darkness for so long? If there is a purpose for me, why couldn't I have been born understanding my purpose here so I could work on that purpose and start growing? And what his answer was is that, when we come in here, we're immersed in this reality, and it's up to us to kind of grow, to get rid of the fear, to kind of see the light, to see the purpose, to see our mission, to find that ourselves. And we're not given kind of an instructor's manual, so to speak, because if we were given these reasons, oh, you're here because you need to grow and you need to, then what we would do is we would live in the intellect. We would try to game the system, and we would just try to analyze and think our way through everything. But instead of doing that, we need to intuit, we need to feel, we need to go back home to who we really are, which is consciousness, spirit, whatever you want to call it. We need to find that again and then start trusting that as our guide.
When you're born, do you think you have fear? Do you have any fear when you're born?
I know this has been a topic before, but it feels like we're not born with fear, but we're born with a certain degree of entropy, right? And then we come into this reality frame, we experience this reality as a means to reduce some of that entropy. So that entropy can be translated as fear, because that's what high entropy is. Fear, right? So we do have some of that, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But the way that it's manifested, I think, is different in each lifetime. So when we come in, we're a baby, we're not manifesting our fear through the ego or through beliefs. We're manifesting our fear different for every baby, but it comes out through, our crying, our temper tantrums. Those babies who cry all the time, what are they called? Anyway, the babies who cry all the time, there's a name for them. They have really high entropy. So yeah, we each come in with a certain degree of entropy, a certain level of entropy.
I think for me, it's as you were growing up as a child, all these experiences and have you, those are what creates our fears. Those are that, and then in turn that creates our high entropy, right? Because it's all these beliefs that are brought into us. That creates who we are, and that keeps us stuck. Because we're not allowed to explore. We're not allowed to do things that we want to do.
Maureen, were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, I work with a lot of trauma. And it's been proven that any unresolved trauma actually imprints on our DNA, just like the color of our eyes and hair and how tall we are, it's everything. And we pass that along. If we don't resolve something that's been a trauma, we can pass that along to our children, who then have on their DNA, I have blue eyes and I'm this tall and my hair, you know, and I have, I've been raped.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what that does is it motivates us to, we are instinctively trying to resolve that. And so we find ourselves in a situation where we are facing a similar trauma, and we have to get through it and come through it to the other side in a better place. And that takes a lot of work. But when we finally, we are stimulated to recreate, to resolve. And when we do resolve, we resolve it not just for us, but for the field that holds all of the generations. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm hoping, you know, we've been in third dimensional thinking for a very long time, and we are moving into fourth and fifth. And that's a whole different field. It's a whole different quantum field. And yeah, I'm sure you guys have heard this, that there, you know, so those of us that choose to try and evolve are going to be living in that reality, and other people that don't will be living in another parallel reality. That's, you know, things to think about anyway.
Actually, we were talking about the passing of the genes, or the data in the genes. I remember reading that it can go back 7 generations.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, so fear does get passed on to you. It's all the memories and experiences from your great grandparents, right? It gets passed on to you. So you may be doing something. Yeah, it is wonderful. You may be doing something, you're afraid of something, but you have no idea why.
Yep.
And that's because of the experiences from your past generations that's been brought up.
And so each generation gets the opportunity to actually resolve it. They may or they may not.
Right.
You know? So, wow, you know? And along comes somebody who's a thinker, a seeker, you know, striving, because needs low entropy. And so they find their way because, you know, what you've asked for, that you find your way.
Right.
Yeah.
So you found your way, but the fact is that when you have a child, all those experiences you're not passing what you've learned to them. You're passing what you learned from them from the time of conception to them, right? So what you learn, you're not passing information on. They have to learn that again.
Well, no,
or you can teach them.
But if you haven't resolved that, and then you have a child, and so they then have that data on their DNA.
Right.
If you then do the work, you change the field. So now the potential in the field is much, much bigger, and it allows for the other generations, the other people in that field to go, oh, because that field is different than the field with your mother and yourself, or your parents and yourself. You know, you've now evolved. So now there's a whole different field you're in that allows for potential for others. So when we heal up and we heal down.
Yeah. So that Tom Campbell explains that is because he says that the only thing that passes when we die is the level of consciousness. So whatever is your level of consciousness, that's what is going to be there, and that's what is going to be that's what is gonna be passed to other generations. Your family.
Just data information.
So it's not your learning to use computers or anything like that, but it's just your level of consciousness. That's what they got from you. So if, as you said, as Maureen said, if you have resolved some fear and issues, so your level of consciousness has rise, and that's what your kids are gonna get, or your other generation.
Yeah, and that's what is fundamental, is your quality of consciousness, right? So if you do come into this lifetime and your DNA or your blueprint is a certain way, well, that's going to create the constraints on your consciousness but consciousness leads and the body follows. So you can actually alter that, right, based on your consciousness. You have a high quality consciousness, so you can alter some of that trauma. You can release some of that trauma that's stuck there. It's all about your mind and how strong, and your focus and your awareness, where you place that attention. So I think consciousness is a fundamental thing, because sometimes I get stuck in the genealogy. I was for a little bit there, trying to look back at my roots and whatnot, but I also don't want to form any beliefs either. I don't want to say, oh, well, that's where that came from. It came from this, and that's why I have it, which kind of maybe, for me, might justify it and keep that trauma in place. But if I don't even pay attention to that and I just keep focusing on increasing my quality of consciousness, improving myself, then I think that will overcome any traumas that I may have, rather than focusing on the trauma.
Yeah, because you're raising yourself to a certain vibration that transmutes the other vibration, which is, for better or worse language, lower and higher. You're at a higher vibration, which transmutes the lower vibration. So you don't have to actually go through the mechanics of doing the therapy and blah, blah, figuring it all out and analyzing it. You're actually just raising, and that's what I meant about the potential.
Yep.
Yeah. And I know we're trying to get off the first page, but what? I missed that. But if you go,
yeah, I think that's why it was good to just have to focus on this chapter, because look, we're an hour into the conversation.
Right. May I?
Quality versus quantity, right, Vanessa?
Right. But the themes we're talking about are through the chapter.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. But at the very last paragraph, the fundamental process requires evolving systems to, in the long run, either grow or die. This is this is us individually as well as globally. Trying to remain marginally viable, balanced in a stable state between the two, is a poor strategy. The eventual price of not continually expending effort to reduce the average entropy within a consciousness system is to allow the average entropy of the system to increase, thus ensuring eventual disintegration. Powerful, powerful, powerful. And then all live or die, succeed or fail together. Whoa. Whoa. Any thoughts, anybody? It spoke to me to say, okay, it isn't enough to stay in that stable in-between state. You need to actually work to, not in that marginal state. Each step forward that you take has to be to lower entropy. Yeah. That's what it said to me. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, this is the most amazing opportunity, having this lifetime or this experience packet, as Tom calls it, to be able to grow and reduce our entropy, because we're faced with so many choices. Like, if you think about it, just in an hour, we're faced with so many different choices, and it ultimately comes back to us and what we choose to do. If I choose to just make it all about me all the time, then I'm going to be this high entropy being. But if I choose to actively participate and show up in my life and help others and make it about others, then I'm going to greatly reduce my entropy. And it's interesting because I can even see it just on my own personal level. When I'm doing my own thing and I'm making it about me, I have more kind of drama and turmoil in my life. But when I'm out there and I'm serving and making it about others, I just feel so good. So that's the byproduct. Happiness is a byproduct of the low entropy state, right?
Yeah.
So I've got an interesting scenario. I'm going to try to explain it to you while I'm thinking about it. So we make choices when we are in our conscious state, right? So when we're conscious, we can make choices. But if we don't make choices, we are in our subconscious. Say, for example, you're driving from point A to B, and you get there, but you don't remember how you got there, because you drive there, once a day, and the same route and everything. And so you don't make any conscious decisions or choices from that, right? So if we want, what am I trying to say here? I guess if we want to change to a different direction, we have to be aware of it. We have to be conscious of it before we can actually choose to go in a different direction to get there.
Right.
Mhm.
So in life, how many times are we in our subconscious state just doing things the way we do things and not be aware of things that we can change?
Right.
Most of
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
Right? And what if we are able to make conscious choices every time, every day in our life? Would that be good or would that be bad? Because then we'd be thinking about all these choices that we can make, right? Or do we let our subconscious do certain things? Not to the point where, okay, I got to breathe. Do I breathe now or do I have to wait to breathe? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So, at what point do we let our subconscious control part of our life, and when do we actually be conscious of certain aspects and make choices for the good?
Well, and if we use the same model that Tom had shared, if we're coming from our subconscious, you know what that is, right?
It's fair, right? So it's fair.
From our fear. So if we get rid of that fear, that's the thing then. So we need to get rid of the fear. And in order to get rid of the fear, we have to use, in the beginning, we have to use our intellect to kind of be aware and to drive us and to make those choices. So the intellect can be our friend, right? The intellect is on our side. But at first we have to kind of be cognizant. We have to be aware and then notice, think things through until eventually it comes from this place of, now this is just who I am, this is just how I am, and I'm not analyzing, I'm not thinking of fear, it's how I am. I'm coming from that being level, and it's a place of low entropy and love because I've done the work to get rid of the fear. I no longer have a subconscious, I'm a whole, I'm a complete being. But I think in the beginning it starts by using some of your intellect to get out of that place of walking around in an unconscious state where we're kind of sleepwalking or we're just, mindlessly doing things. And that's what all the different spiritual philosophies talk about, is be mindful, be aware, be here now, be in the present moment, right? That's kind of the thing. It's like, wake up.
So how do we get out of fear?
By confronting it.
By what?
Well,
Confronting it.
we're talking about
confronting it, taking risks, right?
Yeah, like you said, Dennis, being aware of it. Because so often we're not aware because we call it our subconscious. We shove it under the rug. We don't want to face it. We don't want to look at it because we're scared.
But you got to take risks.
I can be aware of my fear. And
you can be aware of your fear, but you're choosing not to do anything with it. You're not choosing to take risks to overcome it.
I can take a risk and still be in fear.
Pardon?
For me, I can take a risk and still be in fear. For me to not be in fear, I have to be in trust.
Trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or trusting the universe, or just trust that all will be well.
Right.
I have to be in trust.
Right.
That's for me.
Yeah.
For me, faith overcoming fear is basically telling what I'm thinking that it's okay, taking a little step to take the action to overcome that, whatever it is I'm scared of, right? Speaking and doing public speaking, right? For example, it's just doing it a few times and you become comfortable at it. Once you become comfortable at it, then that fear goes away, because that fear now is comfort zone is to overcome your that part of the fear, right?
And now you trust you can do it because you've done it.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you have that, you gain confidence and courage.
Because I can't go from fear to love. For me, it's fear, trust. Then I can reach love.
Right. It's taking the little steps to gain that trust, to be comfortable with it. And then once you have that, you've got the confidence to.
Yeah, trust and surrender, I guess, are the two words that come to mind. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and it's also I think those like the little fears that we face that we don't face every day, because those big fears are easy. You know, like you can see when your heart's beating really fast and then you're sweaty and you're so afraid
Yeah.
to speak in public or whatever, or walk down the street and it's really dark and you don't want to pop out. Like those fears, yeah, those are obvious fears, but it's little fears. It's the little fears that we never pay attention to. Those are the fears that are important to get rid of, and those fears are, you know, when we get annoyed or when we get frustrated or when we get angry or upset or depressed, whatever it might be. But it's those negative emotions that we dismiss or we sweep under the rug or we distract ourselves from by either watching TV or eating or shopping or whatever it is, rather than actually facing them head on and you know, pulling them out by the root.
Yep.
I think those are the important.
Those are the ones you need to confront head on and ask, okay, why am I frustrated? Why am I angry? And that allows you to answer those questions at a deeper level of who you are. And then once you're able to figure that out, then you can do stuff to overcome that. And once you overcome it, that fear goes away.
I have a
It's
question.
practice though, right? I know Tom keeps saying, just get rid of your fear and you'll find love and that kind of stuff, but it's not as easy as he says though.
Yeah.
I have a question. Yes, I have a question. So, like Vanessa said, all the major, how do you say that? The spiritual teacher says that to be conscious is to be present and mindful in the right now, right? So, and most of the time we are in a sleeping state, or we are sleepwalkers or something like that, and that's the unconscious, right? So, but you guys said that is related to fear, like the unconsciousness is fear. But what about if I'm playing in my head only like memories? I'm not having any fear. I just playing memories. What that's fear as well? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying when you're unconscious your fear. I'm referring to that model that Tom talked about with
Subconscious? Yeah.
the subconscious. Yeah, the
Yes.
subconscious is fear. 90%, and he said this lots of times, 90% of what we do comes from fear. Because
So
we're
when I
so
play memories, when I play memories in my head about a happy day in the beach, at the beach with my daughter, is that fear?
I don't know because I'm not you,
I'm
but I
not
could.
conscious at that moment. I'm pretty sure I'm not conscious at that moment, right?
Yeah, so like I said, I don't know because I'm not you, I couldn't say, but one perspective on it, I'm not sure if this is an accurate one. One perspective could look at it and see that as a distraction from you being the driver's seat of your life and directing it the way that you want it to go. You could be busy daydreaming because that takes you away
But
from
I'm doing dishes. I'm doing dishes and playing that in my head. So is that fear? Because that's my 95 of my time actually. My head time is 95% is playing those memories, and I'm trying to catch myself and focus in doing the dishes, but that's too boring. So I go back to play those memories. But I have always wondered if that's fear that comes from fear, according to Tom Campbell, that's fear because it's a subconscious thing. So I don't know. Any answer?
Times where I'm coaching clients and I'll say something and he's thinking, right? So I'm asking, what are you thinking about? And he'll tell me what it is. And I said, so are you in fear? And they say yes. I said, yeah. And I always say that when you're thinking, there's a good chance you're in fear because what you're thinking of wanting to do, but you don't want to do it because it's scary, right? And I just had a great example on Tuesday. I was meeting a prospective client and I was giving him ideas on how to overcome certain things. I was helping out with I was providing a solution. He was thinking about it, and I said, "You're thinking. What are you thinking?" And he says, "Well, if I did this, it'd be kind of scary for me to do it because I've never tried it, or or he was coming out with excuses." And I said, "Well, that's fair." So, and I asked him, "What if you just stop thinking and do it, and just do it?" He goes, Good thought. Good. He thought it was just a good insight there. I thought if I just did it and not think about it, it'd be a lot easier. And I asked him, "How many times have you thought of something and not do it?" And that's just like, whoa, wow, right? And I asked him then, was it because of fear? He goes, yes. And it was like a huge insight for him. And so I said to him, next time, if you think of something, just stop it and just do it. And he goes, "Oh, I'll try it next time." I haven't, it was only 2 days ago when I started approaching with that. But I said, next time you experience that, why don't you let me know how that goes? And I'd be curious and see what the results are. And this guy's going to go on Britain's Got Talent, right? So he's a huge, very popular guy here, but he, in Canada, they only have Canada has talent once every 4 years. So he decided to go to Britain to do this. So there was a lot of fear within them.
Nice.
That was kind of cool. So just put a new perspective on him.
When I'm daydreaming, I'm in what I call my fantasy world.
You're in a different reality.
Well,
you're in a different reality. Eh?
Well, when I'm in my, because I have a rich fantasy life. I think all of us do. And when I'm there, we'll call it daydreaming. I'm doing that because that's my need. What I'm daydreaming about, there's some element of that I need, right? So what I'm just trying to relate to what she said. She's doing the dishes, or 95% of the time she's thinking about memories. She's recreating memories, and she said, I think, happy memories. In other words, I need to focus there. Maybe it's missing for me. Maybe it's something I hope to create in my world, and so maybe I fear I'll never get there, or I don't have it, or what's blocking it. But I'm in a need when I'm fantasy, when I'm in my fantasy.
So it's coming from fear, those memories. I'm not sure. Also, because I try to be very mindful, but just to be mindful about the dishes is really too much for me. Or exactly the same example when you are driving. It's so boring to be mindful. Look the tree, look the sea, look the bird. So it's so boring that I end up playing like a movie. I totally can play a whole movie that I just watched a couple of days ago because I need some distraction. I don't know.
So Taylor, when you're thinking about when
Tom Campbell said that that's fear, and I don't see the fear there.
Yeah, I don't know, but Taylor, I just wanted to say one thing, guys, and then can we move on because we only have 45 minutes left. So this may help you. When I was at TMI, Tom said we were talking a lot about healing and doing work on others, thinking about other, right? So oftentimes when we're daydreaming, what we're doing is it's kind of a soother for ourselves because it feels good for me, right? So he says, always be mindful. And when you're doing things that don't require much attention, like the dishes or like driving, wander inward, he said, and then you can work on you can work on healing for others, right? You can start, putting energy out to others and start sending love to others who need it. So maybe that's something you can do, and maybe you can send it to your daughter at that time rather than playing a movie. Just focus on her consciousness and send her love, or send other people love. But I'm just gonna leave it there, and then we're gonna move on because we only have 45 minutes, guys. We're only on page 2.
Okay.
So, despite her best effort, right? We're an unruly group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I let it go because I'm like, oh, there's only 10 pages. We're good. But I didn't realize go that far. Yeah, anything else from there or the next page?
I think the on page 2, near the bottom, there's a point and a purpose to your existence. You have a mission. That your consciousness has the potential to evolve requires that you have free will. Did we talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
But in order for you that you might succeed, must allow you to fail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Has no choice, right?
Yeah. To survive, you must risk death. So deep.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool there.
Yeah, that is very cool. And then moving over onto the next page, third paragraph down, he says, you are on this growth path, whether you know it or not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, going back to what we were saying, is being conscious, being aware in your life so that you can derive the quality of your consciousness. You are on this growth path.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a little bit, just continuing on from there. PMR is nothing more than a virtual environment, especially created to facilitate your and others' evolutionary progress. Consider it group therapy for dim awareness.
Yeah.
Where are you, Daniel?
That was just after where Vanessa was talking about you are on your own growth path.
I remember reading it, but I didn't find it on. What page are you on?
Well, I'm on my ebook, but let me see if I can find it.
Oh. It's 3 pages in, the third paragraph down.
Where is it here in the ebook? I've got the book here as well. 2, 3.
The third paragraph down for me is 1, 2, 3. Our goal, our purpose. Why should we bother?
Right above that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, got it. Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Group therapy. That's what we're all about.
Yeah. And then further, the second last paragraph, last sentence. We are Aum, and Aum is us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then moving on to page 4, next page over. Did anybody have anything from that page, page 4?
No.
Okay. So the next page, page 5.
So you're going pretty fast now.
Page 5, one of my favorite lines is here on, I guess it's the second paragraph, last sentence, or it might be like the first paragraph. The paragraph starts, consider how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The very last sentence of that paragraph where he says, knowledge thrives on separateness, wisdom sees itself as part of the whole.
Yeah, I've got that highlighted as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the ego, right? The ego is the one who thinks it's so smart and knows everything and thrives on separateness, on being an individual, on better. But then wisdom sees that we are part of the whole. We are here to cooperate, to collaborate, to work together, to contribute, to give back, and that comes from wisdom.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because I'm thinking of one of my coaching concepts where people who you coach, they would a lot of times would say, I know this, I know this, I know this.
Yeah.
They don't really know this. They're not willing to learn and grow and explore more, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they do know it on one level, but there's things are so multi-level.
Well, they know it based on all their experiences, right? But they're not willing to let that go and see what else is out there.
Right.
Right? They're too closed within.
Yeah.
And they're not willing. They don't want to learn. They're not willing to go and explore more. And that's ego too, right?
Yeah. I've caught myself saying that lots. Oh, I know, you know? But yeah, just recognizing it, seeing it's the ego, and then putting it aside and being open to learning.
Yeah, I catch myself doing that too.
Yeah.
And when I do it, then I say, okay, well, no. Tell me more is what I would say.
Yeah, that's what he says. The next page, growing up seems to be nothing more than achieving a series of ever-widening perspectives. Don't quit prematurely before you have achieved your full growth potential. Outgrow your belief traps. Begin to enjoy the magnificence of your true heritage as a chip from the old consciousness block.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you just said.
Yeah. I like write down the next paragraph. So the third paragraph that starts, let's look at some examples. The very last two sentences where he says, if people understood the big picture within their consciousness system, the big picture within their physical system would be obvious and earn their utmost respect. They would naturally see themselves and all others, human and otherwise, as full partners in a shared experience of existence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like learning and sharing, helping people, giving people a safe space where they can understand, based on their own ideas, the nature of reality, of existence, what their purpose is, why I think it's so important. Because I think that's the key to opening the door where we can all step in and start working together and cooperating and creating this global family that we came here, that we are. We are a global family, but we're not very low entropy at this stage. So yeah, I really like that part. It makes so much sense. We understood the big picture within consciousness. And the big picture within the physical system would be obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the last sentence on that page. Consciousness is the primary ecosystem to which we belong. NPAMRN is our biome, OS is our community, PMR is our niche, and Earth is our habitat. So it creates a layer of how everything is based.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. Consciousness is our ecosystem. Anything from the next page? Or starts at the next lower level of awareness? I did from that very top paragraph. I guess it's 3 sentences in. He says, most of us know that we must constantly expand effort to form win-win relationships with other individuals. That realization is a good starting point at locating the bottom rung of the greater ecological hierarchy, and is the first step toward being a fully responsible individual, making the most of your native capacity. You must become a responsible citizen, integrated contributing part at all levels of interaction and relationship. From individuals to organizations and groups to the earth to Om consciousness, growing up seems to be nothing more than achieving a series of ever-widening perspectives. Yeah. Isn't that true? Like it is. It's all about just increasing your perspective, widening our perspective. So often we only see things, and I'll only see things my way. But when I get together like this, I can then learn and I can see things from your perspectives too, and that gives me a bigger perspective. And then it just keeps growing and growing.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the antidote too to any kind of turmoil or disagreement with anybody. The antidote is see it from their shoes. Look at it from where they're coming from.
Look at it
Then
from that perspective. And even following what you just said there, don't quit prematurely before you have fulfilled your full growth potential. Outgrow your belief traps and begin to enjoy the magnificence of your true heritage as a chip from the old Aum consciousness block. How many times do people quit? Right?
Yeah.
Because it's too hard.
Too hard. It's too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. First thing that image comes up, have you seen that meme where he's like got a pickaxe and he's underground in the mine?
Yes.
Like, oh, I give up, and then you can see that the gold is like right there on the other side.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly.
Yeah. Totally. You know, that's a really good point, because like he says, we know that we must expand effort to form win-win relationships with other individuals. And he says that's a good starting point. And I like that, because I left that whole personal development company because I didn't agree with a lot of things that they were doing, but they were starting there. They really focused on win-win. You got to create a win-win. You need to create a win-win. So for me, just to have compassion with people who are starting there, and they don't necessarily need to race all the way to the finish line and have the big picture all in place, but to be patient with them at the starting point too. That is great that people can start seeing things as win-win. It's not all about me and what's in it for me, but it's what's in it for you, and how can I make this a win-win for both of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a real connection.
Yeah.
That's authentic connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else from that page or the next? No, Daniel, Maureen?
No.
Well, I think I'm just reading it. It's repeating what we just said, what we just talked about. You know, it's repeating it in a couple ways here. So.
Well, there's one part here. I guess it's the second paragraph from below. It says, Aum is driven to explore and understand consciousness. Its continued growth, evolution, and survival depends on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is what we just said.
Yeah, exactly. It's always continue to grow and learn.
Mm-hmm.
We are our Aum, and Aum is us. Right?
Yeah, I didn't have anything from that else from that page or the next page. I know he was going on and he was with his humor in terms of, but I kind of missed his humor there. I was like, tell me what he's doing. I don't know. I was saying, maybe playing Jessica to our rendition of Roger Rabbit. That totally went over my head. Did that land for anybody?
No,
Where?
The
Where?
next page, the page over.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Must be playing Jessica to our rendition of Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, I thought,
yeah.
boy, he has a rich imagination, this guy.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I read that.
I can't remember the movie, so, but.
Roger Rabbit, right?
Yeah.
Roger Rabbit.
80s, right? Okay, so we're on the last two pages.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going pretty fast. We got another half hour.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning. We can move into chapter 11 though.
I haven't read it.
I'm not ready either.
I'll read one page.
Well, on page 406, I mean, in the second sentence, he goes, Aum's science is focused on understanding the process of consciousness, evolution, and making them as efficient and productive as possible. Aum does not exist for us. It does whatever it needs to do for its own reasons and according to its own profitability requirements. We are simply part of that process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just understanding the process of consciousness evolution. So it doesn't know. We don't know what it is, but it's doing what it can and trying to make that process as efficient and productive as possible.
Where are you looking?
It's the second sentence on page 406.
The first
Picture consciousness pulling itself up by its bootstraps. Picture yourself as a bootstrap. It's the first paragraph on page 406.
Right. Yeah.
So womb is learning and growing, and as it's learning and growing, it wants to make it as efficient to learn and grow. I want to be as productive as possible. It's like with any, to me, that's like any manufacturing process, right? Yeah. You have an assembly line. Well, we can make it better by changing this, doing this. How do we increase our yield?
Yeah, and that's what we all do too on an individual level.
Exactly.
We try things don't necessarily work, so course correct, try something different.
Right.
The only thing I had from this last 2 pages was the very last paragraph on, I guess, would you say it was page 406 for you guys? So the second to last page, very last paragraph. He says, your ego, in its reaction to fear, insulates your delusion from reality with an array of self-protective and self-justifying rationalization.
There's my fantasy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was Christine who was saying, I don't get how ego covers up fear. So that's pretty straightforward for you guys? How ego...
Your ego is a result of your fear, right? Your ego is created from your fears, right?
Yeah.
Because your ego in its reaction to fear. So the fear creates the ego, and then that insulates your delusion.
Correct.
From reality.
And your ego is trying to hide what your true fears are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It throws up all these things to block.
Yeah.
To justify it. He says the only way out of the trap is by making a serious effort to outgrow your limitations and overcome your fear by developing a big picture understanding of existence.
And yet up in the last couple of sentences in the third paragraph, he says, our perspective is too small to see the bigger picture that connects us to a whole that exists beyond our comprehension. Have a laugh or at least a chuckle and let it go. Which was for me a bit of a relief. Self-importance, the hallmark of the ego, is always self-destructive. Like, in other words, let's do what we can, do our best, keep trying to, understand the bigger, but we'll probably will never understand that. And so have a chuckle. Mm-hmm. And let's not take, my old boss gave me a little plaque once. It said, stop taking life so seriously. We never get out, none of us get out of it alive. That's what it said. It was great.
When you say that, Marina, I think of the journey.
Yeah.
Right? Just enjoy the journey. Let go of all the things that bother you. And just live your life. Live your life.
Yeah, which takes trusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big sentence, though. Your ego, in its reaction to fear, insulates your delusion from reality. Whew. How many times I'm there? Wow.
I love that.
Great that you can be aware of it too, right? And see it for what it is.
I'm only in recent years really understanding what a rich life I have in my fantasy. And I say, gosh, here I am in my fantasy again. Like, get out of your fantasy. Right.
I like the last sentence too, that paragraph is a personal big understanding, improving the quality of your consciousness, and developing your capacity to love are all interrelated, mutually reinforcing aspects of a successfully evolving consciousness being.
There are no shortcuts.
Yeah. There are no hacks.
Yeah.
Did you just say there's no hack?
No hacks.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's talking about hacks.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you hack in your life? How do you hack this? How do you hack that? Right?
Right.
You can't hack into this consciousness system.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you just brought that up. We've been having this conversation with the other MBT group. We're trying to help get Tom's experiments published. So one of the guys, he created this Kickstarter campaign, and he did a video for it. It's like a little 3-4 minute video. And he sent it out to all of us so we could kind of give him some feedback. And then Donna, Donna from MBT Events, she pointed out, she said, because in the video he said, there's a line where they're showing like the Matrix and Inception, and could we be in the dream, virtual reality? They're trying to cater to a different audience, right, to get all the hype up to do these experiments. So anyway, they're showing all these little clips, and then the voiceover says, if we are living in a digital information system, can we hack the system? Okay, and it goes on and on. And so Donna replied, and she's like, hack the system, question mark. She's like, is that aligned with MBT? And then there was this whole conversation where everybody was going back and forth. Like, yes, it totally is. No, you can't hack the system, and you can, you can do the self-healing. That's a prime example of hacking the system. What do you think? Do you think self-healing is an example of hacking the system?
I don't think so. I mean, we have to live within a certain rule set that the LCS has given us. I think it's just awareness.
I think self-healing takes a whole ton of self-awareness and growth and work. Yeah.
We only know what we know, and through self-awareness we grow and learn. We evolve our consciousness system, our individual unit of consciousness. Right? To me, that's called hacking. It's more of learning about ourselves. Can't go and change the rule sets.
Yeah.
You can hack the system. All the games, in computer games and any other game, and this game as well, it has shortcuts.
You're talking about that. Are you talking about that?
You have to learn the shortcuts and how to gain the points and all of that. In this game, it's exactly the same. So we have discussed many times all those things that happen at the margin between another realities and these realities, and in that place there are the space for hacking for sure. For example, there are many examples of hacks. So for example, the periodic table. It was a hack. The guy just took. It was not research. He took all the information from the database and bring it here, and that's our periodic table. And it's been perfect for I don't know how many hundreds of years. So that was a hack. And many other civilizations, no, but communities have been able to access the database and get information directly from there. So you can call those hacks. And if I can gain some information, for example, Tom Campbell mentioned it. He was calling, right? During the calling, his calling, he used to go there for answers. That's hacking. That's exactly the definition of a hack. Instead of spending 5 days searching for a bug, he went there, he found the answer, and that's it. So those are hacks or no?
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective for sure. Maureen, what do you think?
Are you saying me?
Yeah.
You know, I'm having trouble hearing her.
Oh.
I'm having trouble. It's the sound. It's sort of muffled a little bit, so I'm not catching every word. So I'm not a good one to ask.
Oh, that's okay. Just in terms of like hacking the system How does that resonate with you when you hear?
Well, I'm not sure I understand the definition of hack in this instance. Could you?
Yeah, I didn't hear everything what Tail said as well, but I'm thinking, okay, are we hacking or are we cheating? And what's the difference between the two?
No, hacking is shortcuts. It doesn't mean that it's cheating.
Yeah.
Because, for example, when you you know how to get a power in a computer game. You know that, for example, Control Alt F is going to give you a superpower, but no, all the players know that. So that's a hack. But it's not cheating because it's allowed.
Way back
it's
before
there.
Hacking was popularized, it was called cheat sheets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Maureen, like you said, it depends on your definition, you know, like what is define hack. So when I hear it, for some reason I associate a negative connotation to it, and I think my first thing is, well, we're not hacking the system because self-healing that's part of the rule set. You know, we're allowed to, we're working with the system. Our intent modifies future probabilities, so that's part of the rule set, and I'm just working with that, and I'm not hacking it. I'm not cheating. So you guys want to hear what Tommy said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, hacking the system is a term that can mean, one, unauthorized breaking into a system to get something you want that is otherwise not available by knowing how to get around the rules. But it can also mean, two, using special knowledge of the system's rules and available tools to get information or cause something to happen, which is very much like what we do when we access the database, we do healing, remote viewing, all these. There's two meanings to it, I guess. They're deciding that they want to keep the word hacking in there because from a PR point of view, it kind of, he said it's kind of like sexy and culturally cool, like hacking. Yeah, but I don't know. For me, I'm like, we're not hacking. I want it to be, you know, like something where it's cooperative, working together. But I'm no PR marketing guru.
Yeah. Well, the word hack is a popular term these days, so I think that's probably why they want to continue using it, right?
Yeah, it is.
Everyone seems to be hacking something one way or the other.
Yeah, and like Teo didn't see it as a negative thing, right? No,
right.
Yeah, I guess it just
well, if you're trying to hack the system to break it, like that's possible as well. So because as he said, as we just read, so we are consciousness. So actually, the result of the whole depends of the result of each one. So each one has the capability to affect the consciousness, right? And if one cell in our organ starts being propagating cancer, eventually we are gonna die, and that cell hack us and break the system, right, and kill us. So I think in both ways, we can hack to heal, or we can hack to break the system. I don't think one single person can do it, but for example, Hitler was able to move a whole nation, right? That was a propagation of cancer, is essentially, right? And if that could keep, and that from Germany moved to Italy, and from Italy moved to another country, right? So it was growing. If that thing keeps growing, probably with full destruction of the system would happen, right? So yeah, I think both scenarios are possible.
All right. So, did you guys have anything else from the chapter that stood out for you on the last page?
I was just going to add something with Tayl's comments there. When we're trying to hack a computer game, the reason why we hack it is so that we want to create a advantage for us, a benefit, right? We're not there to break the game, per se.
Or to break it. For example, if I want to break the United States security, it's just to break it and to show that they are not as good as I can be. So
we're trying to break it to to do a data breach to collect data for our own advantage, right? Do we not want to? Do we want to break their system, per se? There's something there that we want to get, right? We want to steal we want to steal information. So that
no, hackers do it just for fun.
Anyway, okay, let's move on.
we got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
For
anything from that last page?
So the last page, second paragraph, middle of the paragraph, beings with higher intelligence are typically dominated by feelings of self-induced fear and pain. Are they really? That is the price they pay for their advanced knowledge, a dangerous thing, and the greater opportunities that go with it. That's a pretty generalized statement. Being with higher, and to me it went, that's a blanket statement. I don't like blanket statements. Beings with higher intelligence are typically dominated by feelings of self-induced fear and pain. He's of higher intelligence.
Yeah, that's good that you pointed that out. I was like, what? I didn't really follow that because, yeah, I actually asked.
I think they can be, but I don't think all beings with higher, yeah.
Yeah, it is a very blanket statement. Beings with higher intelligence or fear-based, basically, is what he's saying. I'm gonna tell him to take that out.
Ask him what he meant by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to get some clarity around that. Well, let's see. The feeling of sadness follows the caring of love. Yeah, and it doesn't even mesh with the preceding sentence, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's a typo. Maybe you made a mistake.
Yeah, it's a typo, just a general typo. It was from his first draft, and he just never found it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, but that is a good point to bring up because, yeah, I was confused by that too. And I asked him, I said, does intelligence have anything to do with quality of consciousness? So the more conscious you are you then more intelligent as well?
Yeah. So you're defining what is intelligence. Like intelligence is not education. Intelligence also, you can be not educated at all, but have a really high EQ and do quite well.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does he mean in, beings with higher intelligence?
Exactly. Because what kind of intelligence are you talking about there? His answer to that. Oh, we lost you, Maureen.
No, I tried to flick something off the screen here.
Okay. There we go.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, could intelligence mean awareness? Right.
Yeah.
Well, intelligence is being able to do the most with what you have.
Yeah, it was,
resourceful. A resourceful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean by EQ, don't you? Emotional quotient?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 examples of intelligent people in this planet have been, and they were very aware people, were Telsa, and he's very aligned with all this Tom Campbell's big theory. He was super. He was out of this. His intelligence was so great that he was connected to Tesla.
Oh, okay.
Nikolai Tesla.
Tesla.
And Tesla, and the other one was Einstein, and he was also, many of his quotes we use it in consciousness connection, because he was aware. He didn't know. He was not able to formulate a big theory of everything, but he was aware that there was something else. And I don't think he was fear-based. Probably the opposite. So I don't know. Yeah, kind of contradictory lines.
I wonder if some of the people like Tesla, are actually channeling, not consciously, but channeling information from the whole, from the field. That they get these inspired ideas that they're just sort of almost, it's kind of channeled through them from the masters. That's what I've always
wondered. I think I remember my dad in Vancouver, he asked Tom, I don't know if you guys remember, he asked him about some, like, do androids dream of electric sheep or whatever. He was asking about these sci-fi books and movies. And Tom said, yeah, you know, these authors, they're downloading information.
Holy shit.
They're not getting that information here.
Right.
That is,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, what you pointed out, Maureen, and I want to understand it now, so I'm reading further when he says, beings with higher intelligence are typically dominated by feelings of self-induced fear and pain. That is the price they pay for their advanced knowledge, a dangerous thing, and the greater opportunities that go with it. Eating that metaphorical apple from the tree of knowledge carried with it the potential for expanded evolutionary success or failure. So maybe what he's saying, this is good. I want to ask him this. I'm totally going to ask him. I'm going to take a picture of this and email it to him tonight. What are you trying to say here, Tom? But maybe what he's saying is that the more intellectually capable you are, the more you kind of get stuck in your intellect and overthink and overanalyze and then create fear from there.
Yeah, that's what I meant by if you don't have emotional quotient, then that's exactly what can happen.
Oh, yeah.
But emotional quotient is also intelligence.
Right.
So it's the
So
word.
we should ask them to define intelligence.
Yeah.
In that paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would, to me, I would think that, you know, people or beings with higher intelligence would have lower entropy and a higher quality of consciousness, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not necessarily. I don't think correlation between them. I know people who are very intelligent with very low level of quality of consciousness, and I know very intelligent people with very high level of consciousness. So one is Tom Campbell, and one is another one that I know.
But I think
super
a high IQ and a high EQ. Like to have both of those would correlate with the high quality of consciousness too.
Unless he's talking about rising to the level of your incompetence, because you're smart, you get all these opportunities, and you keep being elevated, and then you get to a place where you don't really know what you're doing, but you know.
No, but they know. I know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's good that you caught that.
Yeah, good pointing that out, Maureen, for sure. Thank you. To come back to that, when I asked him, does your intelligence, is there any connection between a high quality of consciousness and your level of intelligence? What do you guys think he said?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just like what intelligence are you referring to?
I was referring to intellectual intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's talking about intellectual intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I asked him, I was talking about intellectual, and he said no. There's no correlation between the two. He said, if anything, it's just attitude. You know, the more you grow your quality of consciousness, the better attitude you have. Right? The more positive you are, the more likable, influential, inspirational you are. It has nothing really to do with how your intellect works.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, guys, what do we got left here? What time is it?
I'm impressed we did it after spending all that time.
It was only 10 pages, Vanessa.
So with 5 minutes left, do a closing circle. Final thoughts, insights. What do you guys have, Daniel?
No, it's good. Created more awareness, more insight for me.
Yep.
And it was based on my perspective, but you shared your perspective, and for me, it created a bigger perspective overall. So that's good.
This actually was more emotionally satisfying for me because we were able to take the time, because oftentimes I'm trying to catch up to where you are and what you're reading and what you're saying. And so for me, it might be slow, but it was a nice pace.
Right. I'm going to take it a little bit further. It says, instead of Aum is me and we are Aum, it was I am you, you are me.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
We're all learning as one, right?
Yeah. So we got a big chapter next week. Oh boy.
Yes.
Dale, what about you? What are your final thoughts?
No final thoughts. I already talked too much.
Oh, are you the higher intelligence there, Tail?
I am.
Do you guys want your my final thoughts? Do I get to share?
What's that? No, I don't have final thoughts.
See, she knows everything.
Yeah, she's one of those arrogant ones.
I don't.
I want to thank everybody for today.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys. I was a little concerned in the beginning about where it's going. I felt it going down this negative trajectory, and I was like, I kind of wanted to leave. I was like, what's going on here? But I liked how we turned it around, and now we can see the light, and we can end on a really positive note. So that's great. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the chapter 45 for next week, same time.
Yep.
Mind,
brain, and body. Looks pretty deep.
Wow, that's big.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a good week, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Nice to meet you, Mari.
Bye.
Thank you. You too.